Okay, so here we go. We're starting the stream. Let's see if I can get the link up. Yeah, let's get this link up onto the Twitter machine. Okay, let's see. It's been a while. Yeah, there we go. Got that on the good old Twitter. Yep, got that there. Where is chat? That's the next part of this equation. I need to look at chat. Chat. Need to get chat up on me phone. Man, it's been so long since I've done a gaming stream. I'm almost like even a gaming stream, that is. That I'm I'm just a little bit like, I'm just trying to remember what my groove is with this sort of thing. We already got 7 people watching. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty fucking good. How are you all today? In the day that is today. I am pretty good in the day that is today. Which for me is a Wednesday, but for you guys it could be like Tuesday or something. Can't stay, early work day tomorrow. Just wanted to pop in and say hi. Maybe one day we'll get your hands fixed. Yeah. I still gotta incorporate that, someone, because was it you that sent me the fixed one? It's been so long, because I have been sent a fixed one. A fixed pair of hands. A fixed little improved backdrop. I just, like an improvement on the current placeholder, that is. I just, haven't gotten around to installing it because I've just had so many things going on. You know, so many balls in the air, you know, swaying about like they just don't care. And all of that shizniz. Oh, hello, Mr. Jumbles. Oh my fucking god, meme, don't scare me. I thought you said fuck it and you were just throwing out Conroy like you joked about forever. But no, Conroy's still fine. Like so this is more just an impromptu sort of thing because I saw that this was released this morning and I figured, you know, this might be worth talking about and I don't want to wait like how many weeks it would be until the next proper episode after the Conroy stream. So I figure why not have like an even more like a reaction format that I can just throw out whenever I want. So this is a, you know, a new branching, if you will. I love handling balls, man. But the Conroy stream is going really well. Look, I didn't anticipate this. I probably should have, but I didn't. It's about as much work as a video because I have so many clips that I'm sorting through, and every time I think I'm done, there's always like a few more touch-ups that need to be. Specifically with the Becoming Batman parts, the comic he wrote a couple of years back, where I've done the narration myself, and every time I listen back, I'm just like, oh, that could be a little bit more, you know, there's a little bit more zhuzh that could be injected into this, but it's going really well. Just predicting when it's actually going to stream has been my nightmare. But at least the timeline for this, you know, if I ever want to do something this elaborate again for a stream, which I please no, you know, at least I have timelines that I can reference to, you know. Yeah, so this is just like a casual sort of reaction stream, so I'm just letting people pour in. So I have I did a very intensive workout before this, which was fun. And now I'm just kind of just settling in a bit, just settling down. You know, I've gotten my dose of vitamin D for today. Vitamin D, you know, vitamin D for the day. I've gotten you know, all of the exercise amours done, so now we can just sit down and do this. And you know, I think a part of me was like, oh, maybe I can do the stream first and then exercise. And then I very quickly remembered, no, you're going to do the stream and then you're going to just fuck off and do something else. So it's either you do the exercise before the stream or you don't do it. So that was the choice I had. Eternal Perfectionist, yep, we know you'll make something amazing meme, don't worry. Oh, thanks. And really, I'm just trying to get it to the point of good enough. Especially with that narration bit. But yeah, we're talking about what's it called today? We're talking about DC because James Gunn, Mr. James McGunn, he released basically a video. He basically released a video. I'm so scatterbrained. Detailing what his plans for DC are going forward, and I have some thoughts on it because I watched it this morning. I was just like, okay, I have some thoughts on this, and we might as well just go through the video and take a look, see at what it has to offer. What did Jimmy done now? How many people have you asked about the Kevin Conroy? How you doing? Is it a secret? Is it safe? You know, it's doing well. It's just trying to narrow down when it's going to be in a streamable state has been a challenge, especially because I think what's fucked me, like, there's a few things that have fucked me, but I think one of them is just the fact that you know, my old routine used to be get up, feed cats, and then just do whatever. But now I have a lot more things going on in the morning, and that's a good thing. That means I'm doing exercise in the morning. I'm playing with the cats in the morning a lot more than I used to. I'm you know, eating breakfast, which I wasn't doing before. So I'm in better habits, but that means I have less time to do things. So my ability to predict how long things take is completely off because I just don't know how much time I have nowadays. But yeah, let's so yeah, he's announced. He has announced. You know, he's been teasing it for the last few months since he took over. And you know, my perspective is, you know, I'm less cynical about it than I was, and that's just because it's clear that they're going in a more hard rebooty direction than they are you know, soft reboot, which I think, you know, you need the hard reboot. I mean, they're saying that it's going to reset with the Flash, but, you know, it might be a soft reboot in presentation only, considering they're not keeping so many of the cast members. But we'll see. It's a bit weird. It's a bit complicated. It's not easy to kind of quantify succinctly. So yeah, we're just gonna go through and just see what he has. I'm gonna I'm gonna turn the music off first. And we'll see what he has to say.
Gunn. I'm the co-CEO. Hey everybody, I'm James Gunn.
Now is that playing?
I'm the co-CEO.
Yes,
of
it's playing.
DC
Okay.
Studios. So as many of you know, DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time. And it's one of, you know, our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation. That the characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story. And if something is outside of that, like Matt Reeves' Batman or Todd Phillips' Joker or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly labeled as DC Elseworlds, outside of the mainstream DCU continuity. Now, Peter.
Now this is interesting here because what we have here is this is basically what I've said in private. I'm not sure if I've said it publicly, but I know I've said in private to a few people that ideally they would just label the main shared universe and kind of the, you know, the spin-offy stuff different. They would give them different labels, and so this is kind of what I would consider to be ideal, because you can still do like weirder spin-off projects or more auteurish spin-off projects that don't need to feed into the larger shared universe, while still, you know, going full steam ahead with your shared universe content. So I think, you know, the important thing with doing that approach is to make sure that audiences can distinguish between the two. So leaning into the Elseworld stuff, I think that's very smart. I think it's still going to be a matter of execution as to how you do that. You need to make it quite clear that they're not all taking place in the same world. You need to make the marketing and the branding very clear. I would even go as far as to say that each universe should almost have its own subheading to make it even clearer, because if it's under Elseworlds, you know, I think Joe Popcorn might still think, well, does that mean Joker takes place in the same universe as the Batman? Which it doesn't, but you know what I mean, right? Like, to make it clear which stuff takes place in which universe. So that's just something I'm thinking about there. So that right there, I think it's a smart move. You've got to, but there's still stuff to work out with that. But my God, that is a better approach than the haphazard, like, smorgasbord we've had before. So that, I'd say that's a step in the right direction.
Peter and I have gotten pretty lucky in terms of the 4 projects that are coming out over the next year. First, we have Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well. That moves directly into The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love, that resets the entire DC universe.
So that's basically as much confirmation as you can get that The Flash is the reset point. There's been so many leaks and rumors at this point, but that's like, I'm not sure if, you know, I don't take my absolute word for this, but it feels like this is the first time they've just come out and said, yeah, The Flash is going to be the reset point. Now how that's going to manifest, though, you know, there are questions there, and we're going to get into that in a bit.
Then to move into Blue Beetle, a fantastic film about a kid who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects, which I'm going to tell you about now.
So here's something interesting here. So he's very much so the way this is being presented, Aquaman and Blue Beetle are still part of that rebooted universe. But the thing about this, the thing that's this is how it's being presented in this video, but I have questions about whether or not this is actually the case. This is for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the films are still coming out. This is still money that has been, you know, dumped into these projects, and these projects still need to make a profit. So if he just comes out and says, oh yeah, these projects, they're completely worthless now, and they will have no impact on the future of DC. If he comes out and says that's potentially PR suicide right there, and that's potentially box office poison. So I don't have any insider knowledge here, but just reading between the lines, I do wonder if what he's saying, if he's only saying this because, much in the same way that you know, Black Adam was being hyped up as the next big thing in DC. Like, they had to hype it up because, again, it needs to make a profit. But it does make me wonder if, you know, because if you notice something here, Blue Beetle and Aquaman, he kind of does lump them in with The Flash and the upcoming Shazam film. And then he makes a very clear distinction between them and the project he's about to talk about. So I almost wonder if that's just a coincidence. Well, not a coincidence, but if that division is just between the unannounced and the announced projects, or if that distinction goes deeper. I'm not going to say either way because, you know, I'm not gonna blow smoke up your ass. It could go either way at this point. But it's just interesting to think about, you know, I guess you can say the studio politics of this, where he can't just straight up say that a bunch of projects that have already been filmed and are in post-production and are ready to be released, you know, he can't just say, oh yeah, they're worthless now. He can't say that. That would be suicide. Like, even James Gunn, for all the honesty he has given, he can't just come out and say that about those projects. So I don't think we're going to know the truth about that until, you know, the dust has settled and we're into the new stuff that he has personally shepherded. So that's just something to keep in mind there. I'm not going to give you hope either way. You know, I'm not going to say it's fucked. I'm not going to say, you know, we're in the clear. I'm just going to point out that when talking about the stuff that was already in production before he came along, it's worth taking what he has to say with a grain of salt, because you have to navigate those waters carefully. Hello, me ma'am. How you doing? I'm doing very, very well. Zaslav and investors would not be thrilled if Gunn would throw their remaining films under the bus. Exactly, exactly. It would be an optics nightmare. 100%. 100%. Has Meme discussed the fact that Batgirl is apparently unreleasable? Well, I know that there's... All I know about that is that because it's a write-off, they can't legally release it or something. I don't know the particulars of that. I am no lawyer. I did date a law student for a while, but that's about as close as it gets. But yeah, I am no lawyer, so you know, copyright law is something I'm a little bit more familiar with, kind of by necessity, but even then it's so complicated, this stuff. But anyway.
So, Peter and I, along with a group of very talented writers, have started to map out an 8 to 10 year plan of what DC Studios will be in film, television, and gaming. This first chapter is called Gods and Monsters. Now,
that's a very interesting title there, because obviously that they've taken that from that Bruce Timm Elseworlds, you know, reimagining of the DC universe, where it's a bunch of alternate versions of the main DC heroes. So Superman, instead of being the son of Jor-El, he was the son of Zod. Batman's like a vampire. Stuff. I haven't watched it, I will admit, so I could be very wrong. But I know that where it comes from. So that's just an interesting choice. It's kind of a deep cut choice, if I'm to tell you the truth. And, you know, even though I haven't watched Gods and Monsters, the fact that he's making that deep cut choice, that could be complete fan bait, or it could be an indication that he knows what the fuck he's talking about. And I'm more inclined to say it's a sign of that he knows what he's talking about because of what we're about to see here. But again, I don't know James Gunn. You know, I can't really speak to anything beyond what I see on his Twitter, what I see him say in public. And you know, signs are better than they are worse with him, is all I'll say.
This, what I'm about to tell you, is a part of the first chapter. It's not the entire first chapter.
So it's only a part of it. So there's actually going to be more stuff to be announced, which, you know, I don't know what kind of bearing that's going to have on the rest of the video, to tell you the truth. I just thought that's worth highlighting.
The first project is Creature Commandos.
Creature Commandos
is an animated series. I've written all the episodes. Something we're going to do that's a little bit different at DC is we're going to have characters move into
Is that Weasel? I just realized. Is Weasel going to be part of Creature Commandos? I am unreasonably excited about that. if that is him.
Out of animation, usually having the same actor play their voice as who plays them in live action.
Okay, so going back to Creature Commandos, so yeah, well, 8-year plan, yeah, that is a very, very good first sign, but I love this concept. I do. I've always, you know, the great thing about, you know, creatures like the Frankenstein monster and, you know, the creature from the Black Lagoon, you know, these creatures, you know, like Dracula and stuff, they're, you know, public domain but iconic creatures means that anyone can just snatch them up, plonk them into their universe and do like their own unique take on it. And from what I've seen, the DC universe has a very interesting version of the Frankenstein monster that I think is worth exploring. Like he's like a commander. Well, you know, he's part of. Obviously, he's going to be in a show called the Creature Commandos. But you know, he's like is he almost like a bounty hunter or something? I need to look more into, like, he's part of, you know, that Frankenstein Agent of Shade sort of thing. But I got to look more into him. But he's got a cool design that harkens back to the Boris Karloff era of Frankenstein, but still like kind of has got its own thing going on. You know, he's kind of part of his own team, and you know, he's got some cool things going on. So I'm excited. I love monsters. You know, I love heroes, but I also love, you know, there's two things that get my willy hard, and that is superheroes and monsters. And you know, you put the two together, and I come very hard. So this is a good first step. The mixing of animation and live action and having them flow between the two. I don't think I've ever seen that done well before, necessarily, but I'm always curious about that as a concept. Like, can you do that well? And especially with stuff like Pinocchio and The Last Wish having recently come out, you know, I do think it's time that animation does get taken as seriously as live action, and maybe this is the way to do it. I don't know. You know, there's a lot of different minefields to navigate when you mix the mediums like that. You know, I've always been a fan of the idea that every piece of content in your universe counts to some degree and is regarded. It's just always been a difficult thing to coordinate because you want to know the secret for why it's difficult to coordinate. It's because movie studios are run like businesses and not like creative enterprises. So, as a result, it's always about they use the universe as a platform to shill out product rather than, oh, it would be really cool if we could get all these stories like interconnected and working and feeding off each other in unique ways. Like that's not the exciting part for studio execs. The exciting part is, oh, we can turn our stories into advertisements for other stories and just have it be one advertisement circle jerk. So that's the reason why shared universes are complicated to work with, because a lot of the time the big studio execs approach them very cynically. But the thing is, that's the case with all forms of media. That's not exclusive to the shared universe. And the shared universe, in its current form, is still quite a new medium of storytelling. Of course, it's been around for decades. It's not even, like, new to film, per se, but in terms of its ubiquity, as a concept, you know, this is still something a lot of studios are figuring out. And I think hopefully they're learning the lesson that they can't just be these advertisement machines. They need to be still quality stories with characters and all of that, that also connect to each other, and the connections are meaningful. But, you know, I think there's still a long way to go in that regard.
Usually having the same actor play their voice as who plays them in live action.
So that might be that, you know, I think that's both cool. I think that's cool, but at the same time, I do worry that, you know, voice actors are already being fucked so hard, and now it's like you have to have someone who can play the character in both mediums. I could see that being a complicated thing to pass. If they had done that back in the 90s, though, that would have been like, could you imagine if, because Kevin Conroy could have totally played Batman back in his prime. Could you imagine that? Oh, what could have been? What could have been?
The next project up is Waller. This is a story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Viola Davis is going to team up with members of Team Peacemaker, and this is a story that's been created by Crystal Henry, who did Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created the Doom Patrol. It is a fantastic story that's out of this world, and I can't wait for people.
Okay, so let's talk about that Waller project. So correct me if I'm wrong. Did you just say that one of the creative people is going to be one of the people who worked on that Watchmen show? Because okay, that's gonna be interesting, because we also got someone who worked on Doom Patrol, which is a great show. I love that show. But then you got that Watchmen show, which I've heard nothing but bad things about. So I don't know. It could be a case of, you know, when someone is really bad on their own, but then you put them with someone really good and they help to iron out their weaknesses. You know, we'll see with that. Viola Davis, I've always considered her to be a very good casting choice for Amanda Waller. It's just she's been given fuck all to work with for the most part. You know, my only complaint with her casting really is that, you know, I've always seen Amanda Waller physique-wise as like the female equivalent of the Kingpin. She's always been, I mean, you can see it right here. Like, she's quite a heavily built woman. And she's very, you know, how heavy she is depends on the on the artist, of course. But my first exposure was on Justice League, and she was quite brawny there. Just finished my coffee. So it would be nice if this show does come together and it finally gives Viola Davis something to work with Amanda Waller. Because that would be cool. It seems that they're keeping her. I imagine they're keeping her around because Amanda Waller's probably not the kind of person you want to skew super young anyway. Like, there wouldn't be that much to explore with early, like, maybe there's stuff to explore with young Amanda Waller, but the appeal of Amanda Waller is that she is kind of a mixture of like Nick Fury and the Kingpin in a way, isn't she? She's this antagonistic force that's also this kind of behind the scenes operative that's kind of pulling the strings. I really like her, as a character, as a concept for the character. It's just execution in these films have been mixed. So yeah, it would be good to get something from her. I'm concerned about the fact about the Watchmen, right? Did we should be played by Oprah? Maybe. Nick Fury and Kingpin. Yep. Hello, meme. Hi, Benjamin. How you doing? I loved her in the Suicide Squad. She was great, and that's because the Suicide Squad is a good film. Waller needs to be gruff, old, and mean. Exactly it. Yep. I love some of the best interactions in Justice League Unlimited was between Batman and Waller. It's just that power move of just Batman appearing in her, like she's finished taking a shower, she's reaching for the towel, and then Batman hands it to her. It's just like, we need to talk. It's just like, Jesus, let me get dressed first. That was a moment. And then they just have that conversation with that I think I've shared it on Twitter. It's great stuff. Great stuff. So I got a really, it pains me because I got the best first impression for Amanda Waller because I did get her on Justice League Unlimited, and then Suicide Squad happened, and there was also a version of her on Arrow who was like anorexic. It was weird. I think that was because at the time the New 52 had happened, and for some reason they made her really skinny in the New 52, and it's just like, no, bad. Put fat back on that woman. Make her eat burgers. So yeah, we'll see how this one goes. That creative team is split right down the middle as far as quality is concerned. So we will see.
Doom Patrol. It is a fantastic story that's out of this world, and I can't wait for people to see it. Okay, next up is a big one, the true beginning of the DCU. This is called Superman Legacy. This is being written by me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm having a great time doing it, and Superman will be released into theaters July 11th, 2025.
So,
okay, the next thing we released.
Okay, so we've got Superman Legacy, and they actually released a plot synopsis for this one. So it's nothing groundbreaking. It's just, Superman. It's Superman early into his career. He's trying to come to terms with his Earth upbringing and his Kryptonian heritage. So I assume the legacy part is that he's lived all of his life as a human, and then he finds out about his birth species, and he's trying to come to terms with who they were. This is like the first time he's discovering them. So nothing too groundbreaking there, but honestly you don't need it to be groundbreaking. Personally, now this is just a personal thing, I would have avoided going into Kryptonian stuff right away, because again I've written an outline for how I would do a Superman origin, and I wouldn't even touch the Kryptonian stuff. I would have maybe little hints in there, but I would want that first story to be completely free of Kryptonian stuff, and then explore that in a sequel so that you have Clark fully developed as a human being before you get into the Kryptonian side of things, and you can just do some stuff that isn't bound by Krypton for once, because it feels like we've had a bit of a saturation point of Krypton in Superman media, but at the same time, we'll see how it goes. You can still do that in a very meaningful way. It's just, for me personally, I'm a bit done with Krypton at the moment. I want to focus on Clark Kent, the person, but this story could still do that. So we'll see how that goes. And it's very promising that he's showing you know, he was reading All-Star Superman for research the other day, and he's showing a picture of Superman from All-Star Superman here in the in the fucking shitting thing. I've lost my train of thought in the video. So he's doing his research, and he's doing research in the right place. And what's really cool, this is a true story. This is a bit of a tangent, but so you see Superman here. They were trying to figure out how to draw Superman in All-Star Superman, because a lot of Superman art, he's always like tensing his muscles, and he's always like very stern, like he's always doing bodybuilder poses. And so they were trying to figure it out, and then they came across just this random guy who was this massive mountainous man, and he happened to be wearing a Superman costume, and he would just sit there, not tensing, not anything. He was just relaxed. He was just chill, and he was the chillest guy you have ever seen. He was wearing the Superman costume, and they realized, oh my god, that's it. He is so invulnerable. He is so not affected by the things that affect us as human beings, that he would just be so relaxed like all the time. And that's how they drew him in All-Star Superman. He was just chill. He was just hanging out because he doesn't need to tense all the time because he's indestructible. So that's just a bit interesting bit of trivia there. Yeah, Frank Quietly, amazing artist. Yeah, yep, Krypton had its chance, exactly. Yeah, so hopefully, like, if they do focus on the Kryptonian stuff, it would be cool if Clark is using his journalism skills to investigate it, like, even if he's not going to do a story about it. Like, it would be cool to see, you know, show us why Clark is an amazing journalist and got the position that he got. I would like that. I would like that a lot.
Into theaters July 11th, 2025. Okay,
the big man that's not flexing. Neat. Exactly.
Next thing is a big premiere HBO television series called Lanterns. This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, John Stewart and Hal Jordan, and we have a few other lanterns peppered in there, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective, with a couple of Green Lanterns who are space cops watching over Precinct Earth. In it, they discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU.
So we got some exciting stuff here. We've got a Green Lantern show called Lanterns, plural, and it's going to have the two best Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan and John Stewart, and it's going to be a buddy cop show. Good. I hope that's not concept art there, personally, because those are not good costumes. Where's Hal's mask? Why does he have a beard? But good. Green Lantern is not a franchise that should be limited to film. It is not. It should be a lavish, it should be a lavish, you should have a launching ground to do these lavish, giant stories. You know, start small, of course, but you have a launching platform there to do so much more. And if they can get this right, if they can get this initial show right, this could be amazing. Potentially, but I'm gonna have my eye on this like a hawk, because Green Lantern is very near and dear to my heart, needless to say. And I'm gonna be the pickiest pick imaginable with this. So yeah, I'm glad that they're taking advantage of the fact that they can have two Green Lanterns as the dual protagonists here. You know, they're not doing my boy Hal dirty. And over time they can introduce more Green Lanterns as well. So this is going to be cool, I think. I'm probably in the minority, but I'm a Kyle Rayner fan. Oh, I actually don't think you're in a minority. I think Kyle Rayner's really cool. He's a bit complicated to introduce properly, but he's really cool. And he was the main Green Lantern for like 8 years. Like, he was the only Green Lantern for quite a while. I mean, technically John and stuff were still out there, but he was like the main guy for a while. And then they brought him back, and they didn't shit all over him. Like, a lot of people think they did, but if you read Green Lantern Rebirth, they go through a lot of effort in that story to put him and Hal on equal footing, and to give Kyle the validation that he was always worthy of the ring, and that even though he feels fear, the important thing is that he overcame it. And in many ways, in many ways he was a better Lantern than Hal, in certain ways, because Hal, he never came to terms with fear. Like, he had overcome it, but he had never learned to master it, if that makes sense. While Kyle, who was like a very, unusual candidate for the ring, he had a more unique journey to go along. So that's just something to think about there. Guy Gardner will make a table and then suplex you through it. I hope we get Guy Gardner and they finally do Guy Gardner as I've always imagined Guy Gardner to be, because they haven't done. There have been quite a few animated Guy Gardners at this point, and none of them have really captured how I imagine Guy Gardner to be. Like, because I'll put it, the cheat code. Here's a cheat code. Guy Gardner is basically Flash Thompson if Flash Thompson was a Green Lantern. He's got that. I always imagined him with that like New York accent. That kind of Bronx, Bronx, New York, Brooklyn kind of accent. You know what I'm talking about, like an accent in that range. Flash Thompson's voice on the Spectacular Spider-Man. It's kind of a reference point there. I've always imagined he sounds like that, and he has that attitude to him, and he's very boisterous, but he's got a good heart. And he's, he's got a lot of willpower. Even if he doesn't always put it in the right place. And he's very funny. Very, very funny guy. Guy Gardner needs to be a more meatheaded. Exactly, he's a meathead. Like, he's a meathead with a heart of gold, but he's a meathead nonetheless. Like, he is, he is the jock of the Green Lantern Corps. So that's something to always keep in mind. I love Guy Gardner, I really do.
For a terrifying mystery that ties into our largest.
He's given the other Green Lanterns swirlies in the Owen toilets. He makes a toilet to give people swirlies. That would be the kind of guy Guy Gardner is.
Story of the DCU. Next is
Manhunters. I'd love. Oh my God! That could be it. They could be going. They could be leading up to Manhunters, couldn't they? Because you wouldn't want to do Sinestro right away. Surely. Like, Sinestro is, you want the tragedy of Sinestro's fall to be something that's kind of led up to, and a TV show is a great way to do that. You wouldn't want Sinestro as a supporting character that pops in occasionally but has very meaningful roles, and then you ramp up a little bit over time, and then he has the fall, and you can do the Parallax arc after his fall, and you can do, there's so much you can do. Like, I have it almost planned out in my head thinking about it. I've had so long to think about it, but we'll see what direction they go. You can bet I'm not gonna hold back on the Green Lantern stuff, but yeah.
A terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU.
Yeah, Manhunters is something you can launch into. Like, it's something you only need like a season's worth of build up for the Manhunters, if that makes sense. Like, because the Manhunters, they're basically just sitting dormant because they were the first. They were the correct me if I'm wrong. Were the Manhunters the second army that the Guardians made to try and police the universe? And then there was like the first Lantern. I'm trying to get my Green Lantern lore straight.
Next is a big movie called The Authority.
Oh, and they need to have their fucking catchphrase of "No man escapes the Manhunters," and they need to chant that because that's cool.
The Authority is a passion project of mine. It's based on the marvelous Wildstorm characters we are now bringing into the DCU and will interact with all of our primary DCU characters. The Authority are a group of superheroes who think the world is broken, and they...
Oh, yeah, they would be the first, because then there was,
Because then there was that story arc, the Third Army. Yep. I got it straight
We
now.
want to fix it by any means necessary. I think it's a very different look at superheroes. We're doing a television series called Paradise Lost.
Oh wait,
Look,
no. Okay, so we got the Authority here, which I'm not as ultra familiar with, but I do know that the Elite from Superman vs. the Elite, which is based off of What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way. What I know about these guys is they started off really strong, and then Mark Miller took over, and then they got a little bit edgy boy, and that's why the Elite was created as a like a parody of them, to kind of bounce off of. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to see. I trust James Gunn to do them well. Like he's a guy. What I'm noticing about James Gunn, he's a guy who can do like edgy sort of content, but he can do it really well. He's got the credentials there. Like he started off. Remember, James Gunn started off with Troma, like that. The low budget schlocky horror company. He started off there, and then he slowly worked his way up. And this guy. There's a reason he's got his head on his shoulders. He started at the bottom, and he learned how to operate in kind of this schlocky sort of area, and then he slowly progressed up. He got more mature and complex over time, and so I trust him to do something like the Authority well. Not go completely edgy boys. Hey, have they ever done? I'm pretty sure they have. Have they done the Authority versus the Elite? Because they can totally do that now. I would be surprised if they hadn't done the Authority versus the Elite. That would be interesting. Just curious, do the mods on this stream ever sleep? I see a lot of overlap with the German Mootles follows. It's I think I've got like moderators from all over the world, so it's pretty cool. So Moodle and me, we kind of have a bit of overlap there. We go with the people that are frequent, who are like extreme. Like this is not a steadfast rule, but if someone has been around long enough, I feel like I could trust them as a mod that tends to. It's not a foolproof system though. So I have to have known the person for quite a bit of time, and I think that's and if Metal trusts them, or Mauler trusts them, that tends to double their reputation, or if they're just friends of mine, they'll also get it. So I think they're from all over the world though. So that's probably the answer to your question.
At superheroes, we're doing a television series called Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is the story of Paradise Island, usually known as Themyscira, which is the birthplace
It's pronounced Themyscira, you hack. I'm joking.
of Wonder Woman. It's almost like Game of Thrones with Westeros, but with all of the inhabitants of Paradise Island. The introduction of the DCU's Batman.
Okay, so so this could be really interesting, like giving some really proper backstory to the Amazons, and perhaps the origin of Paradise Island, aka Themyscira, in there. What's really interesting about the Amazons to me, and this is something the DC EU has not exploited, is they are troglodytes in a way. They are people who have rejected progress because they were so injured in the past that they locked themselves off from the rest of the world. They've received, they've been gifted with immortality, but they have locked themselves off to the point where they basically just live the same lifestyle with very minimal progress. And the Amazons themselves are meant to go through an arc where they open themselves up to the world again, thanks to Wonder Woman. And they learn to deepen their views of the outside world, and they drop the monarchy, and they embrace modern technology and all of that. That's meant to be. I mean, obviously DC likes to do their resets with them, but ideally that's their arc where they start off as this very closed off primitive society, and eventually they learn through this one incredible person whom initially they were quite skeptical of, that the outside world is not what they believed it to be, and embrace progress again. Like It's actually kind of funny. Like, if you think about it, the Amazons are meant to be, they're supposed to be a regressive society that becomes, that learns to change their ways, and that's kind of interesting there. So getting a really detailed origin for that could be something cool. I mean, obviously we don't know how it's going to be executed, but that could be a cool idea. I'd like to see a Wonder Woman movie where she gets to fight Ares proper, or so. Yeah, that would be nice. Like, not having mustached Ares. That would be nice. That would be nice. Will Gal be in this? Probably not. Hopefully not. Yeah, the 2009 animated film nailed that element for sure. You also got a little bit of that in JLU, if you'll recall. Yeah, the Wonder Woman and the Amazon, they're cool. They're a cool idea. There's a reason that she's the third pillar in the Trinity. It's just DCEU has given us fuck all. They've given us a very surface level interpretation of it, which was what I was afraid of when they announced it, because it's very easy to just make them this very two-dimensional man-hatey society without going into the nuances of it. Like, it's basically, it's, you know, if I may get a bit spicy for a second, it's almost like, you know, when someone's a rape survivor and they kind of lock themselves off and they don't want to open themselves up to anyone anymore because they've been so violated by another person. Like, it's kind of like that, but an entire civilization. Like, that a civilization that has been so violated during one period of time, that they locked themselves off. And it's about learning to open themselves back up. And, you know, it would happen almost person by person until it, like, goes up the chain. But yeah, it's cool. It's a really cool. The New 52 Wonder Woman was lame because they completely, like, and the thing is, DC agreed that New 52 Wonder Woman was lame because eventually they retconned it that it's really funny, and I'm just thinking about it now. They retconned it that all of Wonder Woman's stories in the New 52 were an illusion. And they had to retell what was actually happening there. It was funny. Because, yeah, like, especially, like, the retcon that, you know, all the Amazons were rapists. Like, fuck off with that shit. Yeah. Oh, man. That was not a fun time. Not a fun time, the New 52. That was not a fun time. But it makes you know what I'm thankful for with the New 52 and the DCEU, it made me appreciate how amazing DC can be by seeing how awful it can get, if that makes sense.
With all of the inhabitants of
New 52 Aquaman was dope, I will give you that.
Paradise Island.
And Green Lantern basically just continued what was already happening, and Batman kind of the same.
The introduction of the DCU's Batman.
Speaking of Batman,
The Brave and the Bold. The Brave and the Bold is the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne. This is based on Grant Morrison's great comic book run. Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. He's a little assassin who Batman tries to get in line, and so this is the story of the two of them and the beginning of sort of the Bat family in the DCU. Next up,
So I am skeptical about this. Not that I don't trust them to do something like this well. I'm just skeptical of doing Damian Wayne so early. The only thing, this is complicated because I really love the idea of bringing in the Bat family, because the Bat family has been neglected for too long. We need it. It's just, I'm curious how they're going to do this, because Damian is like the fifth Robin, right? So to do him first. So are we going to have a scenario here where Nightwing is already kind of around? Batgirl might be somewhere around. You know, are we going to have like Jason Todd already dead? Like, are we going to... I was thinking about this. How do you make this work as a first entry? And I think the way you make this work as a first entry is, I think this needs to be a film not just about Damian Wayne, but about Robin as a concept. And so you have Nightwing there. So this is a film that would almost be like half flashback, half modern present day stuff, if that makes sense. So you almost have it like be a semi-anthology where you see the different Robins and what happened to them, and how that informs how Bruce is dealing with this new Robin who is actually his biological son. I think that would be a good if you have to do Damien in the first film of this. I think that's how you would do it. But yeah, I would not want Damien to be the first Robin. I find Damien very interesting conceptually. The daughter and the son of the daughter and the son, the son of Talia and Bruce Wayne, raised by the League of Assassins, but now is put into this position where he has to change his ways and embrace the philosophy of Batman as a Robin. Like, that's very interesting to me. There's a lot of things you can do with that. Yeah, to make it work as the first film, I think it's going to be complicated. And I really don't want Damien to be the first Robin in this universe. I don't. So I think the way to make it work is to have that larger backstory told through flashback. There are things like, and that can help you set up future stuff. Like, you don't need to do Red Hood this film, but you can set up that backstory in a meaningful way. So you have, all the stories of the previous Robins, and poor Tim Drake, please don't neglect him. He deserves so much more than to just be a footnote. So make it a bit more. So I don't know how they're going to approach. It's called The Brave and the Bold, though. So that The Brave and the Bold was kind of almost an anthology-like series because it was, it is Batman teaming up with different people. So I don't know. Maybe that's a hint. I don't think it's going to be like a proper anthology. I think because you still want a main story running throughout. It's going to be a story that is very exploratory. Ideally, this would be a story that's very exploratory of this Batman's history and past. That would be the way I would do it if I was given the mandate of, like, okay, you need to introduce Damian Wayne's first film. How do you do it? Because I wouldn't want Nightwing to not be there. I wouldn't want, all of this, because you don't want to kill that potential for future stories. You need to find a way to make it work. So we'll see how this works. I'm skeptical about this. Is probably, out of all of them, this is the one I'm most skeptical about, for sure. This is definitely the one I'm most skeptical about. The one I'm most worried about. Yeah, we'll see how we go. We'll see how we go. So yeah, it's the cool thing about Damien, though, you can eventually do Super Sons with him. So I would like to see that as well, Super Sons. You have to time that one well, though. And the thing is, I think they're gonna, if you want Super Sons to work, that's an issue, right? Because live action actors age, and they're starting with a young Superman. So how do you get that to line up? That's gonna be that'll be a challenge. Maybe they got to do like a super young Damian Wayne. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
And the beginning of sort of the Bat family in the DCU.
But Bat family is the right direction to go, because it's overdue. Batman is not. Look. Here's the meme with Batman that the Batman films don't get. The meme with Batman is that he says he works alone and he actually has like 40 sidekicks running around and all these connections to other superheroes. Batman is the opposite of a solo player. He just says he is. And that's the funny thing. That's the meme. So that's something that the other Batman films have not gotten.
Next up is a TV series called Booster Gold. Booster Gold is one of comics' really popular cult heroes. He is a fascinating guy. He's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back to present day and become a superhero so that people will love him. It is basically the superhero story of imposter syndrome on an HBO Max series. One of my favorite comic book series from last year.
So we're getting Booster Gold. Booster Gold is amazing. I love Booster Gold. I need to read more Booster Gold comics, to be honest. And he's a fairly nuanced character because he is someone who came back in time to. I'll put it. He's someone who did come back in time to use this what was pretty mundane technology in the future, but is actually amazing stuff in the present. And you know, he did it for the fame and glory, but then over time, you know, we see that he really does have the heart of a hero. It's just that he's not a Superman. He's a very flawed human being, but that doesn't mean he's a bad person, if that makes sense. So I would like to see this done well. I would like to see all of these done well, but you know, Booster Gold is one of those characters that we haven't really seen that much in live action. Like maybe a few cameos here and there, but you know, it would be nice to see Booster Gold done well. And you know, it would. This is something I'm noticing here is that we're getting a mix of relatively obscure and iconic. So they're not leaning in either direction, which is good. Because we're getting the mainstays. We're getting the Superman, we're getting the Wonder Womans, we're getting the Batman and the Green Lanterns and all that. But then we're getting stuff like Booster Gold and you know, the Creature Commandos, who are you know, they're not as well known, but you know, that's James Gunn's wheelhouse, right? He's got both the Suicide Squad, which had a bunch of obscure people coming in, and Guardians of the Galaxy, which no one knew about until that film. I mean, people did, but it wasn't like, it didn't have anything resembling mainstream success. Like, I think the most mainstream Guardians of the Galaxy got was Marvel vs. Capcom 3 before the film hit. So, yeah, this is why James Gunn is kind of an ideal person, because he knows how to he knows how to embrace these characters. He does. I can see him being a very effective guiding hand. It's just we got to see how all the other people involved like play their part. Like it's a complex soup we're dealing with here, but we'll see how they go.
Of imposter syndrome on an HBO Max.
I think Gunn is the map. It bothers me. I think Gunn is a map. No, he's not a. I don't think Gunn is a map. He made some very dodgy jokes back in the early in the late 2000s when Twitter was first. He made some very dodgy jokes, but he's not a map. No.
Series. One of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and so we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film. Now, Superman is a guy who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents, whereas Supergirl in this story, she is a character who was raised on a chunk of Krypton. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way, so she's a much more jaded character. And that brings me to Swamp.
Okay, let's talk about this. So we're getting a Supergirl movie. That's really cool. Like, we already got that one back in the 80s or whatever, and we got the CW show. But this looks like it's going to be the one that... because this is the thing about Supergirl. Supergirl is kind of... She's cool because, you know, Superman is human. He was raised on Earth by loving parents, you know, real salt of the earth kind of folks with, you know, the purest of Midwestern values. You know, he was just taught to be a very good person, and he is... You know, he is human in everything but biology. So that's kind of the juxtaposition there, is that he's not biologically human, but ultimately he's human. He's inside in his heart and his mind, he is human. Supergirl is the opposite. Supergirl is what people think Superman is, because she was raised on Krypton. She was raised in Kryptonian society, and she has experienced huge loss as a result of that. So this is where you get to explore that interesting side of like this stranger, you know, to, you know, this complete foreigner, this stranger to our planet trying to fit in and figure things out. And so that could be extremely cool, especially because she was separated from Krypton as a teenager, which means that that's a hugely traumatic event during that very developmental period. So that could be really cool. We'll see how they go with it. You know, but that could be cool. That could be cool. Which version of Supergirl is, to my question? I assume Kara Zor-El. I assume. I don't know if they're... Like, obviously we got that weird version of Supergirl that's going to be in the Flash movie, but I hope they don't go with that one. I would prefer just a more classic Kara Zor-El sort of thing. Especially because that costume... Oh my god, that fucking costume that I've seen in that Flash movie. It's awful. What's wrong with... You know, Supergirl, much like Superman, she has a really awesome costume, you know? I don't know why, you know, you would want to fuck with that, but whatever. You know, Oh,
some
man.
terrible way. So she's a much more
Tits,
jaded-
tits, tits. No, that's Power Girl, Traj. That's Power Girl. Oh, man. Like, even they gave Power Girl a new costume recently, and it still has the tit window, and they even give it a very functional purpose where it's like it gets sweaty in these full body suits. So I just cut the little. So I got this. So the tit window is for ventilation. So it's just like, you know what? As far as explanations go, you know, look, there's been one point in history where they tried to get rid of the tit window. It lasted a year because nobody wants Power Girl without the tit window, because that's just a really cool part of her design. It's what makes her unique. That's almost her symbol in a way.
character.
Gotta let him
And that brings me
breathe.
to
Yeah,
Swamp
exactly.
Thing, the last thing we're going to talk about, a very dark horror story in the origins of the monster who is Swamp Thing.
Fuck
and
yes.
although it's totally outside of the rest of the DCU, it will still feed into the rest of the stories. Anyway, those are the stories of the DC.
So we're getting a Swamp Thing film. Now I heard that the Swamp Thing series that was on the short-lived DC Universe streaming service was actually pretty good. So, but it got cancelled because of various reasons, and reasons outside of its viewership, mind you. I think it was just it might have been there was a bunch of legal shit to do with like filming locations and what have you. There was a bunch of shit. But yeah, so we're getting a Swamp Thing film. Swamp Thing's really cool. I like it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do a... And this shows... This is another thing that I like about this slate, is that there's variety here. We're not getting like all like hopeful characters. We're not getting all dark and edgy characters. We're getting like horror characters and like lighter characters and kind of characters that fall in between. And that's DC. DC... The DC universe is a treasure trove of different flavors and shades of characters that, when you know, they're really cool on their own, and then you throw them together and it's like, wow, it's like oil and water. It's really interesting to see how they clash with each other. It's really awesome. So I'm happy that we're getting Swamp Thing, and we're getting Creature Commandos and all the monster stuff alongside the superhero stuff. So, you know, I gotta say, when I first watched this morning, I was a little bit more cynical than I am now. But I think now that I've rewatched it and I've had a chance to kind of process it, and I'm also because I'm hopped up on caffeine, I'm a little bit more like, yeah, this is a good slate so far. I'm curious to see what you have more. I'm curious to see what else you have. Now, this is all really cool. Now, the thing about all of this is, we don't know how much of the old DC universe, the old DCEU, is going to transfer over, and how badly that's going to interfere with that, with all of this. We just don't know at this point. A lot of this is still pie in the sky. It's still relatively unknown. So you can hear the excitement in my voice and this is the first time I've been excited for DC in a while, but in my excitement, I still have to pull myself back a bit and go, let's not give into hype before we know very important details. That's not to say we shouldn't have a level of cautious optimism, but it's what's it called? It is emphasis on the cautious part of that. Very much, emphasis on the cautious, because we just don't know. We don't know. We don't know what this is. We don't know how all of this is going to play out. But conceptually, foundationally, if this is the new launching point for the DC universe, they're going to be starting quite strong, I think. Especially a Green Lantern show, a new Superman movie, finally getting the Bat family together, you know, getting the monsters. I don't know why. This is something, if you would ask, you know, this is not the thing that I would go to immediately as the thing that would get my rocks off as far as getting excited for DC. But I don't know. We've unlocked a secret compartment of my heart, which is like, you get the monsters of the DC universe in there without like dragging down the other heroes. And it's like, ooh, daddy's hard. Yeah, it's I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. I'm gonna be it's gonna be a little bit of a butthole clenchy time, I think until they're finally out and we can look at them. I'm gonna be like, oh, please don't suck. And because this is the thing, right? This is the problem with hype, and you see it with the Snyder people all the time. You get so devoted to the hype and the emotional high that hype brings that you go, that's a recipe for cope if the film doesn't turn out too good. It's a recipe for cope, for making excuses for why it is the way it is, and we've seen how embarrassing that gets. So I'm trying to hold myself in that middle ground where I'm allowing myself to be like, okay, this is the right idea, but then I'm also I still got a foot in the camp of if you fuck it up, I'm going to skin you alive, sort of thing. So it's about that balance. But as far as my conceptual excitement goes, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm not optimistic, but this has my attention. Yep, I think that's a good way. That's a good way to put it. Like, it has my you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention, sort of thing. I don't know how it's gonna go, and we've been so fucked again and again with DC that it's kind of hard to have unreserved enthusiasm. But this is the most hope I've had in forever. Well, since before Man of Steel came out, even. Which is to say, there is more than zero hope, if that makes sense. There's more than zero hope now. So, that's a big improvement as far as I'm concerned. Like, anything more than zero is quite the accomplishment for DC at the moment. Before the dark times, before Snyder. But again, tempering expectations, I think, because the Snyder people, as James said, are scary, scary folk. And wow, we got 47 people here. God damn. I'm used to just 10 people showing up. This is how you doing, everyone? But yeah, it's going well. James Gunn seems to have a firm head on his shoulders, which is not something I've been able to say about basically anyone with any substantial amount of power over DC as a brand. Like, maybe Jeff Johns to an extent, though. I think Jeff Johns' problem is that he overstretches himself in ways that he's just not capable of. Like, have you noticed that with anyone who's familiar with Jeff Johns? It seems that the more projects he takes on, the worse he gets. I think it literally is that he's the kind of person who works really well when he has like 1 or 2 projects boiling, but then you give him 40 projects and it starts to fall apart a bit. And that's not me shitting on the guy. I think he's actually quite a creative person, and we owe a lot to him as far as like a lot of DC's larger lore is concerned. Like, he is a proper nerd when it comes to DC. It's just, I get the feeling he's the kind of guy who doesn't work well with under pressure, if that makes sense. Bottom line is they need good writing regardless of whatever they are making. Exactly it. That's the thing. We need good writing. We need this to be done well. Conceptually, the DCEU didn't even have a firm foundation. Like, this is already doing better than the old DCEU because we have a foundation that's actually conceptually sound. Now you got to build on top of it with good writing. That's the key here. You got to build on top of that with good writing, and not get ahead of yourself. For the love of God, don't get ahead of yourself. Don't fall into the meta trap. Don't assume that you're going to go off of brand power alone. No, you need to sell people as if they have never heard of DC before. You need to do that. If you can do that, you're good. If you can approach this as if you have everything to prove with these characters, and that you believe in them without having to compromise, you know what I mean. Don't kill Jimmy Olsen in the second film. Yep, that would be a nice one too. Don't make him an FBI agent either. He is a cub scout reporter. He's a cub reporter. He's a photographer. He's Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, and occasionally gets all kinds of freaky abilities. But that's, I you know, with this sort of stuff, the sky's the limit, and I almost do wonder, like, man, could they like dip into like the really weird stuff with Superman, like, and do that really well? Like, could they give him his fling with a mermaid? You know, could they pull a little bit from the Silver Age and just? I don't know at this point. I don't know. I don't know where they're gonna go. We have a general idea now, but I don't know how good it's gonna be. I'm hoping that James is gonna be like a good guiding light, but we just don't know. We just don't know. But there's more reason to be curious and pay attention than there has been in the past, which I think is the thing to kind of keep track of, you know. But will Lex Luthor still love Jolly Ranchers saga? No, I saw the best comment under the EFAP movies for BVS the other day. That was like, actually, I'm gonna dig it up because it was so funny. I don't wanna paraphrase it. Oh shit. Let's I'm in an incognito tab, so I'm at no risk of revealing anything. But you know, we're gonna just close off this because I don't really need it anymore. Actually, no, let's just watch the rest of the video first, and then I can show you.
It will still feed into the rest of the stories. Anyway, those are the stories that I can tell you about right now. I've loved the DC characters since I was a child. They're incredibly important to me. I knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do something very different. One of the things that's very important for me in all of these movies and TV series is that the director's vision and the vision of the writers and all of the creators is unique and something special. Storytelling is always king. That's all that matters to us. And I want to be true to those stories. I want to be true to you guys and really give you something different than you've ever seen before. Anyway, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you watching. I hope this was exciting for you because it's really exciting for me. And I can't wait to start to dive into these stories with you guys on this grand adventure. Thank you so much.
Just notice that me and James have like the same manic energy going. Like we're both kind of at least displaying optically the same enthusiasm for DC, which is kind of neat. He at least looks like he has a lot of passion for it. So that's cool. That's really cool. You know, he seems genuinely excited. Storytelling is king. Yeah, like that's the thing. I don't get worried when I hear James Gunn talk, if that makes sense. Like he says he says the right things, and not even the right things in like, oh, he has to say that. More in the sense of like he says it in a way that if he is faking it, he's a very good faker. But it's more the execs. It's the executives to worry. Yeah, it's definitely more the executives to worry about. I think James himself is quite enthusiastic about that. But yeah, it's gonna be a journey. It's gonna be a journey and a half with DC. It's definitely gonna be yeah. And it's I think it's going to be a roller coaster ride. I think because we still got those like diarrhea products to endure, you know, the Shazams, the Aquamans, the Flashes, and then after that slate is done, oh, we got Blue Beetle as well, which who knows how that one's going to turn out. Hopefully good, but yeah. But after we have the ones that were already in production out of the way, that's when it's going to be like, okay, eyes forward. Let's see where we go. And hopefully we get some cool stuff. And if we don't, you'll hear from me about how not cool it is. But yeah, it's a good time to be. It's a good, well, not a good. It is an interesting time to be a DC person. It really is. It's a very interesting time. And we'll see how it ends up going. Hopefully, I hope it goes good. EFAP movies, Batman v Superman. I'm gonna get that comment up because it was so funny. I still check the comments on those EFAP movies occasionally because you know, there are some gems in there sometimes. The let's see. Oh, here it is. It was so this is so Jolly Rancher executives. We paid millions of dollars in product placement for this. Fuck you, Zack Snyder. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Out of all the movies to start the new DCEU. Wait, no. Is there a chat before that? Out of all the movies to start the DCEU, I'm trying to figure out what that refers to. I'm sure the context will come around eventually. Wonder how much Granny's peach tea paid. Look, I don't think it's a hot take to say that anyone who paid for product placement in BVS was not very happy. The new movie, Blue Beetle, the new movie's coming out. Let's see, Blue Beetle. Oh, Blue Beetle. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Blue Beetle. That could be like, if that one's good, that one could be retroactively like the starting point. I don't know. Blue Beetle's cool. I like Blue Beetle. And the thing is, Blue Beetle, here's the funny part. Blue Beetle would actually be the easiest one to reboot in the new universe if the Jaime Reyes one doesn't do well, because you could just go back to Ted Kord, right, and then build back up to Jaime. And you can hint at Dan Garrett, because no one's gonna fucking go for Dan Garrett. Yeah, like, also, what was the other thing? So actually, I'm going to share with you my favorite thing about Dan Garrett, the first Blue Beetle, because his stories got wild. His stories got absolutely wild. Let's see. Not CGI either. Yeah. Dan Garrett. Oh, can I find the panel? Is the question. Oh man, I don't know if I can find the panel. Oh no. I can't share you. I can't tell you this story. Can we find it? Can we find the panel that I'm talking about? You know, this is something from wartime, you know? I need to find it. Where is the war? There we go. Here we go. So... the original Blue Beetle, yeah, we're going, this is tangent time, children. So the original Blue Beetle, was someone called Dan Garrett. His comics started coming out in the 1940s, around World War II. So there was some stories that were basically like wartime propaganda sort of thing, you know, just trying to, you know, you know, tell people Nazis bad sort of thing, which, you know, I can support that. But there was a really funny story where Dan Garrett, the Blue Beetle, he goes into Nazi Germany, and he has to go in, and he breaks into Hitler's house for some reason. I forget all context behind why he broke into Hitler's house. I'm not gonna lie, but he did break into Hitler's house, as I'm going to show you right now. So as you can see, he broke into Hitler's house, right here. So he broke into Hitler's house, and you know, and Hitler's just sitting on his couch. He doesn't know that Blue Beetle's there, but he did in fact break into Hitler's house. There he is. There's Hitler. How you doing? But that's not the funny part, that Dan Garrett broke into Hitler's house and Hitler's just on his comfy, you know, on mine comfy chair, there. That's not the funny part. The funny part is what is revealed, through, so, oh no. So he sneaks up on Hitler, and let's see. And it turns out that Hitler was actually Satan the whole time. And that is the twist. That is the twist of Blue Beetle. That Hitler was actually the devil the whole time. As you can, Then a strange thing occurs, and the Blue Beetle watches an amazing transformation takes place. Oh, great grammar there. Hitler's skin turns a glowing red. The horns of the devil appear on his brow of his hated head. Impossible. It can't be. This literally fantastic. Oh my God, they really used ink back then. So Hitler turned out to be Satan the whole time. Oh my goodness me. Oh, lordy lord. It's so good. It's so fucking good. It's so... And suddenly, he is revealed in the true form of the terrible monster. Hitler was alive at this point when they made this comic, just so we're aware. Literally Hitler, literally Satan. Oh my God. You know, if this isn't in the Blue Beetle movie, I'm gonna be a very salty boy. I'm gonna be a very, very salty boy. Gonna be full of salt. You know, sugar and spice and everything nice. Not so much with me, my friend. Surprised it wasn't in Black Adam. Yeah. You know, why? Where was Super Hitler? Where was Devil Hitler? That should be a villain. They need to make a villain called Devil Hitler, and I would pay good money to see it. Devil Hitler. His true mustache is a lot better than the two. Yeah, that's the thing, right? He intentionally chose that mustache. He could have chosen any form, and he chose that form. And, you know, that's something to think about. You know, Diddler, Diddler. Oh boy, but don't add kitty before Dittler, okay? Don't add the word kitty as in child, kitty before Dittler, okay? Don't say kitty and then Dittler together, okay? That it's very important you don't do that. I didn't watch Black Adam. Has Black Adam come out? I haven't paid. Yeah, Black Adam came out and it was really bad. That long story short there. So yeah, Black Adam came out. It was really bad. And it's not going to get any sequels. So that's the long and the short there. And now we're going to get like a hard reboot for the DC universe by the looks of things after the current slate of films are out. So, that's not Kitty, Kiddy, Kiddy. Thing is, I'm not sure if it's a soft reboot, because the thing is, it's changing too many things to be a soft reboot, because they're not keeping Henry Cavill or Ben Affleck, or I doubt they're keeping Jason Momoa, despite what they're saying. Right? I would very much be surprised if he stuck around in the long term, but we can't be sure at this point. I think they're using the Flash. Because it's funny, like they're saying that the Flash, the Flash is going to be the reset point, but will that result? Because a soft reboot would mean that a bunch of stuff stays the same. Just it would just be some things are different. Like Days of Future Past is a soft reboot. I don't know if this would classify as that. The fact that they kept Ezra... There's no guarantee that they're keeping Ezra Miller. Let's be real. There is no source saying that Ezra Miller is sticking around outside of that... There's one article that claims Ezra Miller is staying around, but if you look at the article, they just said, our sources revealed to us that they are keeping Ezra Miller. But that's not... It's completely unsourced, is what I'm saying. It's completely unsourced. They say that Levy is staying. Again, anyone... Look, I'll put it this way. I will put it this way. Anyone they're saying is staying are the people who have movies still coming up. Meaning that it would be a very bad idea for them from a marketing perspective to say that they're not staying around, right? Do you follow that train? So do we follow that train that whatever they're saying about the people with movies coming up, we can disregard until those films come out, because there's no way they're saying that they're not sticking around because they need people to still go and see those films. Fucking journos use Twitter randos as a source now. I don't trust anything. Yep, that's probably the best idea. Imagine where we could be right now if DC wasn't so poorly mishandled. Yep, that would be a nice place to be. Well, the upside is we have James Gunn in charge now, so we'll see how his stuff goes. His slate looks promising. It's just we got to see how they actually execute it, but it's a stronger start than we had before. So we'll see how it goes. It has my attention. All the Suicide Squad members are saying, yeah, that's the thing. I think the Suicide Squad people are probably sticking around. But how much continuity are they going to keep, though, is the question. I don't know. It's complicated. So very complicated. And it's hard to tell what is and is not going to be. It's a bit of a mess that James Gunn has had to inherit. So we'll see what exactly. Amber Heard caught fleeing to Spain. What? I'm not going to click on that. That's going to be a rabbit hole. So we've got super chats coming in now. How long have we been on the air for? Because yeah, let's see. Let's go to. How long have we been going? Oh, I can just check here. We've been going for a little over an hour. That's not bad. This is not going to be like an ultra long stream. I just wanted to talk about this for a little bit. So it might, it might be a good time to go to super chats. Thinking about it. Let's see. 1 hour short man meme. You know, this is how Viola Davis is staying. I know. We watched the whole. Just so we're clear, guys, we did watch the whole video. For anyone who's new, anyone who's just popping in, we did watch the whole video. So we are all up to date here. Is what I will emphasize here. My God, my boner will not cease after that Green Lantern. But why did you, bloody fucking interface? My God, my boner will not cease after that Green Lantern buddy cop show concept. I am skeptical of BB, Blue Beetle. I hope they don't use it to pander to my people. Well, best case scenario, Blue Beetle is just a really cool story about a teenager who gets a scarab, who gets like an alien scarab attached to his spinal cord and becomes a superhero. And that's all you can really hope for. The Reach are coming. The suit is really cool. Yes, I hope. The only CGI I hope they add to it is just a little bit of animation on the mouth, but I'm glad that it's mostly practical. Because I want I think that suit that face should be a little bit expressive, and considering that it's nanotech, I think that should be how it works. But yeah, it's you don't need to CGI over the whole suit. Just give a little bit of Deadpooling to the face, and you'll be fine. But yeah, this is gonna be. But yeah, the Green Lantern one, I'm gonna be really keeping an eye on like a hawk. I'm gonna be looking at who the writers are, who are they getting to show run this, who are they getting in, do they know what they're talking about, what are they saying? I'm gonna be on them, like Donkey Kong. So yes, so that was okay. So that's super chats for so that's super chats for YouTube. Let's see if Streamlabs got anything. Usually doesn't, but you never know. I would rather check Streamlabs and have it be nothing at all than the alternative, and then we're somewhat centered there because they know that Streamlabs I keep more of the money. Let's see. Oh no, get out of my face. Oh, I don't need the music creator thing yet. Let's see. Okay, we're caught up there. So yeah. Let's nanotech trigger warning. Yeah. But with Blue Beetle, I'm fine with nanotech with Blue Beetle. My goat is gotten when nanotech is every fucking costume. I'm fine with nanotech being an option. I just don't like it when everyone has nanotech. That makes me very sad. Because it means we don't get all the cool, varieties, I'm fine with, certain characters having it, though. That's fine with me. And I would like some more variety with... Hell, I think the other issue is that there's no variety with nanotech. Because nanotech, it would be they basically treat it like it's a goo that slurps over your body, and there's not like variations where it's more like larger but flexible components come to. I don't know how to describe it, but there's not a lot of variety in how they handle nanotech nowadays, which is another reason it's really boring. Give people without masks nanotech masks so they can nanotech off. Fuck it, lol. You know. Nanotech was an excuse to show the actor's face. Yeah, a lot of the time that's what it is. They don't really take advantage of the bits and bobs. It's a shame, but you know, because there's cool potential with nanotech. It's just they always use it the wrong way. But yeah, I'm gonna head off now, and I'm gonna probably have a nap, to tell you the truth, because that you know, that workout this morning, that was a thing. This stream's probably going to be re-uploaded pretty quick, because I'm not going to edit this one, because this is just a quick off-the-cuff reaction. I don't need to edit this one down or anything, I don't think. So yeah, it's been great chatting with y'all. That's my reaction to the new DC slate. I have some cautious optimism going forward, but I'm still reserved, if that makes sense. You know, I'm still gonna skin James Gunn alive if he fucks it up, or skin whoever is responsible alive if it's fucked up. But you know, I have more than zero hope now, which is more than I could say for DC since Man of Steel. So that's something. But yeah, I'm gonna get going. So I'll catch you around, guys. And yeah, it's been fun. Oh, by the way, you're gonna play Dead Space. If I do, it's probably not going to be for a long time, but you never know. But yeah, I've got to take a little nappy poo. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.